But Kevin, what if you lose clients? What are you going to do then?
Yes, I do lose clients.
Hey friends, Alan Lee here with the Handyman Journey, and I'm here with the whole host of Handyman. We have Kevin Moles with Dynamic Handyman Solutions out of Turlock, California. We have Jonathan Potter with Potter's Handyman Services out of Tracy, California. And Evan Plata with Evan Handyman Co. here in Modesto, California. And obviously I own and operate Honestly Handyman Services out of Roseville, California. So the topic for today's video is what kind of filters do you put in place to narrow down your ideal client? So we're going to pass it over to Kevin to give us his first answer to that one.
So right now, one of the filters that I use, and I used to not use it, is a consultation fee. And I charge $75 to come out and take a look at the project. If people want me to come out in person, I really strive to not do that. I try to get people to send me pictures, info over email. Once they hear I have the 75, they're a little more incentivized to send me the pictures. Like, oh, okay, let me just do that. And then I'll give them a ballpark. If you're looking at $300 to $500 for this. If it's within their budget, then I'll say, okay, I'll come out in person now, and $75 goes towards and credited to the final estimate. But since they have a ballpark, it's a little more comforting for them to understand that, okay, that's in my ballpark, in my price range. Because if I give them that, then I don't want to cheat people out of money, So if I'm not a good fit, great, I don't want your $75 either. So consultation, and then I have kind of a minimum to come out for jobs, and that automatically filters out people because they're like, oh, it's just a small item. Yeah, and I tell them you could probably find someone to do it for $50, but I cannot. So minimum consultation fee, I've only been doing that for probably a year now, and a minimum price is one of the way I filter out people right at the beginning.
But Kevin, what if you lose clients? What are you going to do then?
Yes, I do lose clients, and I don't think I would have implemented this as a starting point in my business 6 years ago, because at that point I was trying to bring in people. I was going out and seeing jobs. I figured face-to-face is a great way to know who you're dealing with. It also allows you to read people, like, are they going to be your client, or are they not going to be a good fit for you? But as I've been doing this 6 years, you just learn to read people over time, and you can read people over a phone, and you can kind of get a sentiment of, I don't think it's going to work out, but I'll still throw out a price to them. I'm at a place in my business where I'm not super booked out, but I don't have to take every single job as well, especially if I feel that client might be troublesome to me and my business later on.
So yeah, Kevin, to build on that a little bit, a huge filter for me, in addition to the showing a minimum service to come out and getting those photos and things like that, is also asking a time frame included in that. I think we've spoken about that before, but a time frame. If somebody wants me to come out right now, I can't do it. I set a schedule just like you do, and I can come out maybe in a day or two, and it needs to be that way. But if somebody needs an emergency service call, either I have the time and it's going to be a surcharge, right? Or I don't have the time and I'm scheduling out, and they're not going to be my client. But to again, like I said before, to build on the topic of filtering through the service fee, I have quite a few clients that push back, and fortunately for me, I had you to help me with that a little bit. So I started a little even before you did, right? When we talked about it, doing that so that it would reduce the amount of people that I had to go out and see, because that was just a huge killer of time, right? Having to go look at all the clients, and then they don't even accept your bid, just ruins your day, And I was nervous as well about giving that $75 fee, and then me thinking that I was too high with my actual bid, and then thinking I was trying to rip them off or something like that, just shooting it real high just to get the $75 to come out.
Like you guys, I do the consultation fee, and always ask people kind of their expectation of a timeline, because again, it's easy to get booked out maybe sometimes 2 weeks. Maybe there's a bigger project you just don't have time for in those 2 weeks. So that's a big thing also. But another small thing I found that's helped me a lot is just the information gathering process. I get so many people who won't give me an address. Say, well, I'm in Tracy. I'm in Manteca.
That's great.
Okay, what is your address? Because for us, that tells us a lot about a house. Just knowing where it is in the town, we can know when it was built, maybe what it might take to do the job, something like that. And all the ones I've chased that won't give me an address, they freak out when I tell them the dollar amount, and it's not very much, you know.
Yeah.
And so, and then I had one guy call me one day. He wanted me. He had an electrician that would charge 4 ceiling fans for $75, and he was trying to find someone cheaper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
4 ceiling fans?
Yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
He said he was a licensed electrician.
Wow.
But you know, when that conversation started, he had submitted an online estimate request, but he only put the city. He wouldn't put the address.
Wow.
And even when I called him, try and, you know, sell it to him, he still wouldn't give me the address.
Yeah, some people are just looking for the cheapest job out there. And there's things that as you do this over time, you start picking up on maybe the first question they ask, maybe, you know, how they're going about their conversation. You can kind of get an idea of what kind of client they are or what kind of experiences they've had in the past. For instance, one gal that we just talked to, we were out on the street looking at all of our vans. If you haven't watched, we have an in-depth look at these guys' vans and trucks. So take a look at that. It's on this YouTube channel, but that's a side note. We were out there recording some videos, and this gal comes up, and she's been kind of not a flipper. What did she call it? She called it a home remodeler, right? She's buying homes, and she basically remodels them and sells them, pretty much flips them, right? But she does them a little bit more high end. But through talking with her, we could start to understand that she's been given the runaround because she's hired cheap people, right? And that's the thing about all this is, like, if people are looking for the cheapest guy, they're going to find it, but they're going to get what they pay for. And unfortunately, this gal that we spoke with, she kind of got what she paid for, it sounds like. And Kevin, you had a great response to her of like, hey, I know some great contractors in the area, but they're going to charge what they're worth, but they're going to get the job done, you know? And so that's kind of the thing that we need to convey to people, but it's hard to be that poignant and just tell someone that straight up.
I guess another filter, I think, and we all are set up that way, is website and presentation of our business. Oftentimes, just as last week, I did a fence post and I installed a microwave, and I use Market for my CRM, and a lot of customers appreciate, like, wow, I really appreciate your communication. I really appreciate the text or the like, that's really nice. It's really hard to convey that when someone calls you for an estimate, right? They have no clue. I mean, they may have found your website. A lot of times people find me on Google or Craigslist, so they don't even go as far as my website. So they don't see that professional face. They're just seeing an ad. So, but then I get a lot of clients, and her as well. She's like, I love all that. She's like, are you a franchise? Mm-hmm. And I get that a lot. Like, are you a franchise? I said, no, this is my business. It's just me. They're like, well, you have a really nice vehicle. You have a really nice website. Like, I just really like that. So that customer, after their interaction with me, now perceives the value of that I've charged them. And hopefully they'll call back again.
Right.
And she left me a 5-star review just last night. So I was really happy about that. But it's, you know, having that website presence and online presence, I think, is another filter right off the bat. Because when people tell me, like this guy we met, they're hiring contractors or subs or whatever it is, or another handyman, I usually, and they've been treated wrong, I always ask, where did you find them?
Right.
Was it a reference? Oh, my friend used them. Did they do a good job for them? Yes. And maybe they didn't do a good job for the customer I'm talking to, but usually if a friend of mine uses someone and they have good luck with them, I won't go look at their website. I'm going to use my friend's word of mouth, right? Like all of us. So I always ask people, where did you find them? Oh, online. Did you read the reviews? Well, not really. Did you look them up a little deeper? No. You know, and I'm like, oh boy. You know, so that's, I think, a part of the filtering system for my customers. Even if they find me on Craigslist, you know, I can't really put a link to my website on there, but I'll usually point them that way. Hey, read my online reviews, read my website. If we're a good fit, send me a request, and then we can go from there. But maybe once they see that, maybe they won't get so sticker shock, you know, with the pricing. Or if they do, they're like, well, now I know why he charges that. And I think, who is he from Texas? Not Stephen Capps.
Ben Alexander.
Ben Alexander.
Okay.
I know their prices are super high, right?
Name bingo.
You know, yeah. Ben Alexander, and one of his best reviews that he really puts out there was a customer that they went out there and she didn't end up hiring, and she still left a review stating that now I know why they charged that price to come out, because they were professional, they were dressed nice, they had a uniform like I'm wearing here, and so she perceived that. And I think that's a super important thing for all of us, or the business and handyman in general. There's so many chucks in a truck that it's just nice to put on that face. We all have branded hats. Oh, yours is not branded yet, but
No, he's an American.
yeah, he's an American. But
It's the honor of the brave.
honor the brave. Yes, I like that. But I mean, I always wear this, so I think that's just another filter for our businesses.
So talking a little bit about the website, the filtering through the website. You know, I think a huge portion of the struggles that I had when starting out were taking calls. I was on Yelp, Facebook, Instagram, Google, on everything, and I was getting messages everywhere, right? And everybody and their mother would call and ask for pricing and things like that, and I would answer as many as I could. And like you said, filtering out, for me, turning some of that off and funneling all of my calls through my website. So either they would call me or I would get a inquiry online. That inquiry process, instead of having access to call me from certain sites, unless it was like Google, obviously my number would be there, but Facebook, Yelp and everything, I have to go to my website instead of calling me, because I used to get 50 messages a day on Yelp because they would blast 10 handymen that same work order, and I just didn't have the time to answer all of them. I tried for a long time, and then your ranking would drop, right? Because so I just turned messaging off and shot everybody over to my website to leave an inquiry. And if they wanted to take the time to click my website, look at it, click the inquiry, that's already a barrier right there, which is great. So the leads that came in were just a little bit warmer, and so I took the time to call and talk to them and such through those sites. But to that point, the website is huge. The filtering with the system is huge, and having a CRM to be able to take those is huge as well, for the organizational side, which is why I love the system I'm using and the filter. Thank you, Jason Call.
Yeah, shout out to Jason Call. He rocks. So one huge filter that we had a problem probably about a year and a half ago, where we had a lot of, through our tracking KPIs, we found that a lot of people were calling, but they were declining due to pricing, right? Our pricing was just too high. So one thing we decided to do was again with the help of Jason Call, put our minimum on our website, right above the work request form. So when people fill out a work request form, they already see what our minimum is. And that it did one of two things. It drastically lowered our call volume, but the calls that did come in were actually calls that were good and actually sold. So we weeded out all those people that we didn't need to talk to in the first place because our prices were too high. And so instead of actually calling us and having a physical person tell them that on the phone, they just read it online. So it was fantastic.
I think starting that idea is scary, right?
Yes.
For anybody starting out, anybody working, the idea of putting your pricing out there before you get to verbalize to them and talk to them, and Alan, we talked about this a little bit, before I get to put my show on for them, right? Before I can do the dance and say hire me because I'm branded and I'm insured and I'm not just a chuck in a truck. It's scary to do that, but the reality is it's scary, but it filters out the people that you wouldn't get hired to anyway. Right. And maybe some of the ones you might have be filtered out too, just on principle. They're like, I'm not going to pay that much to a handyman, because they don't perceive your value to be what it is. Yeah. So what a great filter, but also a little bit scary, right? Mm-hmm. So, but before you get to that point, there's other things you try. But what a great position to be in. All the things you're getting in are coming out right off the bat. They already know where it's going to be, and that really sets your clientele where you want it. So
Tell them your story about the gold pieces of paper.
Oh yes. I was watching doom scrolling, of course, online. I forget what site, not TikTok. I'm not on TikTok too much, guys. And I was watching a video about a guy. He had these gold chips, and he was handing them out to people, and they were real. And obviously, not everybody knew that. But he was handing out to some people saying, hey, this is real. And some people took him at his word, and some people didn't. And for him, you were watching him on the video, and he's handing out, and the people that took it, he was happy for him. He was like, okay, there you go. And they just made $100, easy, right? Mm-hmm. And then people that were totally ignoring him and walking away, he was happy about that too, right? Because they just were passing on the value, but it didn't hurt him, right? Because he kept on to that $100 little gold chip, you know? And so the value he was giving wasn't seen by everybody, right? But the people that passed him by, they weren't hit for. So in our circumstance, they're not our client anyway, you know? And so there's no real loss there, right? Besides your time, right? And if you'd have taken the time, half hour to talk to him and go and look at that site and even get that $75, that still wastes your time, you know? So that's my little analogy from that video I saw about your value.
Kind of another good almost sales tool is networking, kind of what we're doing right now. Because like I had a customer, I think 2 days ago, submitted an estimate request on my website, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, this guy wants his whole house painted, he wants this done, he wants it remodeled. I was like, I'm not the guy for him. So I was like, well, let me tell him, see, maybe I can make a suggestion. And so I talked to him, I told him, you know, for painting, we recommend these guys, and we have people that we network with and we recommend. And he said, that's awesome. He said, I got these, 5 other projects. Can you come give me an estimate on them?
Wow, great.
So we'll be there Thursday. So from initially getting it going, this isn't going to be my customer, and being able to make those referrals, I think it shows not only how much we put into our business, but how much we put into our customers too, because we're out there looking for better people to help them, and we're not even making any money off of it.
Yeah, that's really good. There's value in helping the client out with their project, even if we're not the right person to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I got someone that I could hook you up with. Like that lady out there, you gave her a whole bunch of contractors' names. Like that's huge, you know. You just brought value to that lady, you know. And you're not even necessarily going to get any money from that, at least right now. Who knows? Yeah. She knows a whole bunch of people. She says she knows people in the Roseville area too. So, so that's pretty cool.
That's a great thing to do, you know. And it's funny, you get caught up in your own stuff, right? This, you know, oh, I can't do this. Okay, bye. You know, no, this isn't my guy. Bye. But you're right. You bring value, and they'll tell their uncle or their aunt or their whatever, and so it becomes less about making money, right, and more about helping, and you attract those people and those clients and those things by doing that. That's pretty cool. That's a mindset change.
Great story about helping people today. Before we met, actually, a gentleman reached out to his wife last week, needed some repairs on a unit, a home that they're turning over, a rental. So usually I don't do those because they're looking for a full turnover. So at that point I kind of know it's a general contractor because they want flooring, they want paint, they want everything. So she didn't get into the topic. I said, please send me an email with pictures and a list of what you want done sometimes, and then I can pick and choose the things that I do. So they sent me a list this afternoon, and I was like, holy smokes, they want their bathrooms redone, new countertops, new paint, fans, light fixtures, and and some other small stuff, faucets. And I was reading this email, and I was like, holy smokes, this isn't just a small cleanup between tenants. Like, they're remodeling this home. And he said to call him, so I called him, and I was like, hey, this is not what I do. I said, I can do the fans and I can do this, but I'm like, do you want to play general contract? I was on the phone for 20 minutes with this guy, not even trying to sell what I do. I said, do you want to play general contractor yourself, or do you want to hire a general contractor? If you hire one general, I'm all about efficiency. So if I'm not the guy and you need a unit turnover, hire him. I just want to deal with one person, and he can hire his subs. So I asked the client, do you want to hire one contractor and just deal with that, or do you want to play general contractor and hire this sub and this sub? And we kind of went back and forth, and I walked through it with him. I said, I don't do paint, I don't do flooring, I don't do cabinets, I don't do 90% of your list. I said, I got a painter, I know a plumber that does bathroom remodels, I know a company here in Modesto, they'll do the full thing for you. I said, which route do you want to go? And he's like, oh wow, okay. He's like, well, I still want you to come out. He's like, there's some stuff in the garage that needs to be hauled away that we did. And I was like, and they already know that I'm charging $75 to go do my consultation. And I was like, you want me to still come out? And he said, yeah. So I'm going to go out Tuesday, just because I literally spent I was like getting out of everything he requested, because I told the contractor's going to do the fans. Like, there's no reason to hire me in what you need and hire a bunch of different people. So I gave him a plumber. He just texted me tonight. He's going to call my painter. They already scheduled a meeting. He called a plumber I recommended. They already scheduled the meeting.
Wow.
I'll be meeting him on Tuesday. I'll probably be doing some junk calling for him. And I might do the fans after the painter's done. So even I kind of like shaded away, but just I brought value to him on this other project. And he's like, I would rather... He wants to be in the trenches. He doesn't want to hire a general contractor. That's fine. Here's your subs. So I think it's super nice recommending people you trust, because you know your client's going to be taken care of and not be taken to the bank, like this gal we met this afternoon. Because the people I trust, my name's attached to them.
Right.
So if they screw up, it looks bad on me.
Right.
So if I hear from a client about someone that did them wrong, I take them out of my Rolodex. If I may have had them in there before, they're non-existent. So again, it's bringing them value that maybe they'll still come back to you in the end, even though you think, oh no, there's nothing there for me. But part of the filtering process, like, oh, I may not have hired Kevin to start with, but he just gave me these people's names, and maybe I'll feed them something. Yeah. Give them a bone.
Man, that's amazing. This has been some great information. And by the way, we are trying to get Kevin Moles to create his own YouTube channel. So if you want him to create his own YouTube channel, drop a comment in the comment section below. Do like go Kevin go, okay? And if we get get 2 thumbs up, we need to get Kevin going, because this guy is a wealth of information. So thank you guys so much for sharing all your information. Also, you guys watching this, thanks for tuning in. Drop us a comment in the comment section below with some of your thoughts, some of your takeaways from today's video, and also any other ideas that you'd have for anyone else scrolling through the comment section. Thanks guys, and we'll catch you on the next video.